Hello? In this lesson, we'll learn how to work with motion capture files. Motion capture, or Mocap, is a technique used to record a person's real movements and transform them into digital animation. Sensors, cameras, or special suits capture the position and rotation of the body's joints over time, generating data that can be applied to a 3D skeleton. This allows for the creation of extremely realistic animations for games, films, series, virtual reality, and simulations. This data doesn't come as a regular animation. It's stored in files that mathematically describe how each bone moves in each frame. The two most commonly used formats for this are BVH and FBX, and these are the ones we'll be using. With any bone selected, go to the Motion tab and expand the Mocap rollout. Here you'll find several tools that we'll learn to use during the course. To begin, let's open a Mocap file. These tools in the Mocap rollout are designed to work with most Mocap systems, but each has different settings. Let's work with files from various sources. When you open an FBX or BVH file, the Mocap pre-open window appears. In it, you can choose the axis system and eliminate parts of the hierarchy, but we won't delve into that now, as everything can be adjusted visually later. Here we open a file with in place, which is basically an animation without displacement. Let's open the same file again, but now eliminating the in place. Note that the hips node is not the first in the hierarchy. To eliminate everything before it, simply select it in the list and click the Remove All Before Selected button. Now hips becomes the first node in the hierarchy. Click OK to open the file. Note that, without the in place, the mock-up skeleton moves normally. Now let's open another file from a different source. Clicking the Edit Mocap button will display the original rest pose. Some files, especially FBX, don't come with a very usable rest pose, so we need to edit it. With the Edit Mocap button activated, also activate Edit Rest Pose. In the Rest Position group in Rotate mode, you can edit the rotations of the joints to put them in a more favorable position. The problem with this approach is that we don't always know if this is the correct orientation of the feet, for example. Therefore, it's better to copy the position of a frame to the rest pose and then edit it. Here we will copy the first frame. Just click the Rest Pose from Time button. As a test, let's click the Change Rest Pose button and check if it changed the original rest pose. Returning to Edit mode, let's adjust the rotations to create a new rest pose. To do this, select a joint in the hierarchy and change the X, Y, and Z values. The Reset Rest Pose button resets the rotation of the hierarchy from the selected joint. Here we will reset the finger rotations and then adjust them. Let's open another file that contains parts we may not want to use, and that should be removed. Note that this file contains the in-place joint and other twist joints that we don't need. To remove them, we will use the Change Hierarchy group. Select the joint to be removed, click the Mark Unmarked Cell button, and note that the joint has turned red. With the node marked, let's open the same file again. In the opening dialog, check the footer to see if Update Hierarchy is checked, and check if it is not. Note that the hierarchy now comes without the in-place root. The new root is hips itself. In some cases, it's also necessary to change the axis order, or even the axis negative. Now let's mark the twist joints of the legs and arms to remove them. Sometimes, some joints don't appear or can't be selected because they are too close to or in the exact same location as their parents. This can be identified by the shape of the parent joint's drawing. When a joint has more than one child, it appears as a cube instead of a pyramid. We can't select these joints directly, so we'll select the parent joint and click the Mark, Unmark After Cell button. Then select the next joint and click Mark, Unmark from Cell to unmark it and the nodes in the sequence. When you reopen the file, notice that the joint now has only one child. Now let's mark the fingers. To do this, select the wrist and click Mark, Unmark After Cell. Do the same for the other hand and reopen the file. This removes the fingers. This step is for demonstration purposes only. We will restore the fingers and continue. Adjusting the rest pose of this file won't be a problem, as the first frame is already the rest pose itself. Simply enter Edit mode, copy the first frame, and apply it as the rest pose. In Hide Bones, click Unhide All, and let's start adapting the skeleton to the mocap. Click the Show Hipbox button. The hipbox is a helper that, when moved, shifts the entire hierarchy from the root. This allows you to reposition the skeleton from the hips. To do this, simply drag the hip box or use Pick Pause from Control. In Scale Factor, you can scale the hierarchy from the selected bone. If the bone is the hips, the entire hierarchy will be scaled. Let's adjust some joints to visually align them with the bones of the character's skeleton. Now exit Select Mocap mode and start positioning the skeleton bones to match the mocap. When it looks reasonable, click Start Pose to record the initial pose. In the Pick Mirror Joint button, you set the mirroring between limbs, such as arms and legs, allowing adjustments on one side to be reflected on the other. Now let's connect each joint to its corresponding bone. To do this, with the joint selected, click the Link to Control button, and then the corresponding bone. By activating Match All Positions, you can check if all joints are correctly connected. If they are not, uncheck the option and adjust again. By activating Match Mocap, the skeleton will follow the movements of the mocap. Note that elbows and knees may need adjustments, as they are too far from their corresponding joints. Whenever you make changes to the skeleton, click Start Pose again. In the Display tab, uncheck the Geometry category so we can check the result along with the character. Let's adjust the shoulders a little so they are further forward. We will also make an adjustment to the head. Let's test the animation. Now that the setup is ready, open another file from the same source. In the opening dialog, check if Motions is checked. let's open another scene that already contains the setup, but with files from a different source. Note that the newly opened scene doesn't have Match Mocap enabled. To make the skeleton follow the movement, turn this button on. When you click play, you'll see that the hips might be locked on the Y-axis. To unlock it, simply uncheck the corresponding option in Lock Axis. Now let's open another file from the same source, a dance, just to test. After the test, we return to the previous file. Now, let's add some keys to the skeleton's feet and legs. First, we need to position the feet, or the entire hierarchy, in the correct position. To do this, we'll use the hip box. With the hip box, you can position and even rotate the hierarchy in another direction. Selecting several bones, you'll notice that there are no keys on any of them. The entire skeleton is moved by the mocap. This is very convenient since we can simultaneously add keys and correct common defects in mocap files. Obviously, we could add keys to everything at once, and it would work normally. To do this, simply use the tools in the Multiple Keys group. Here we use Add to All, adding keys to all the bones. After that, we can even completely clean up the scene's mocap. Instead, we'll add keys and parts, correcting the problems. We'll use the keys and postures rollouts to work on the legs first. From rollout postures, we'll use the Frozen Posture tool. It allows you to freeze a visual skeletal reference of the current pose and use it later as a guide to align feet, hands, and hips during animation. Then, simply select the limb you want to align and use the Position to Posture or Transform to Posture buttons, and applying the keys to fix the adjustment. After adding keys to the legs, notice that there are still no keys on the other parts. Another alternative, among several, would be to add keys to the legs all at once, using the tools in the multiple keys group, and then only correct the feet as done previously. After the legs, in sequence, add keys to the arms, head, and finally, the torso. After placing and correcting the keys for everything, we can uncheck the Match Mocap button, or even delete the entire mocap by cleaning it up.